All right. Thank you all for joining us here today. Apologies, I am in like a hotel lobby starting this up. The joys of being the one to control the NAEOP Tech account. But thrilled to introduce Josh here, who's with GL Travel. And then after that, he's going to do about he said it's about 10 to 15, 20-minute presentation and answer some questions. And after that, we'll shift over and cover any of the CIEE information. I know we were looking to cover some of that as well. So without any further ado, I'm going to go camera off here and just kind of manage the Zoom room here. And I'm going to hand things over to Josh here, who's going to share a presentation with us.
All right. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be here presenting for your region. I'm myself am based out of Michigan, but I've been working with TRIO programs. It's my 19th year. So really excited to be at number 20, helping support TRIO programs with their summer travel, their spring travel. And now it seems we have TRIO groups now traveling this year in December as well. So it's really cool to work with the programs. It's good to see what happens with these students' lives and the difference that you make as educators. So thank you, everyone on this call. You do make a real impact with these tours, that education outside the classroom, the opportunity for these students. So what I'm here for is to tell you a little bit about us and why more TRIO programs are choosing GL Travel and what opportunities we have available for you in travel. Um, and it's good. The timing is actually perfect because what the trend we're noticing right now is we're getting more TRIO programs starting early than we ever had before. Normally, our TRIO business doesn't really start going until February, March, or April. Even sometimes directors don't start until May or June for their July trips. We already have half of the number of trips we had total in 2024 booked for 2025, which tells us directors are really trying to get a head start this year. So first of all, can someone give me a thumbs up that you can see my screen? Are you guys able to see me? Thank you, Nicole. I see you. Appreciate that. So my name is Josh Bruman. I'm with GL Travel. I've been in the industry for 19 years, and that picture you can see, some of the pictures are some of our top destinations. It's by design. We have a lot of groups that like go to Washington, D.C., and a lot of great colleges to visit, a lot of history, a lot of attractions, a lot of museums, but we'll go through that when I go through all the different opportunities. So go learn with GL Travel, making memories for TRIO students. That's what it's all about. Getting out there, showing them the culture, showing them the possibilities, the colleges, the universities, but it's about making memories, about some time with their friends. A lot of these students have never been outside their state. Some of them have been outside their city. And to go to a big destination out of state like this is really a huge opportunity for these kids. This background, Chicago, that's one of our more popular destinations this year. A lot of our tour groups went to Chicago. Great city, a lot to do. So we'll see that here in a little bit too. But first of all, why GL Travel? Just a little bit about us. We customize everything to fit the needs of your program. We don't have two TRIO trips that are the same. Every single one is different. So you'll have a consultation about your program, about what's important to you. What do you want to see on tour? Where do you want to go? Do you want it more cultural, more fun? Do you want one campus tour per day, two campus tours per day, one per trip? Every program is a little bit different. It is all inclusive. So if you were to go on this trip or your students on this trip, they could go without a dime in their pocket. They'd be well fed, get into everything, and have a really great tour. It is all about the value. We understand and work with TRIO now for nearly 20 years. We want to get the most we can out of the budget that you have to spend on this trip. So we understand you're working within budgets, and we'll try to work within your budget to give you the best trip experience. What makes a great tour are the tour directors. We have the best tour directors in the industry. They work well with students. They know the cities well, and they're really flexible. So if it's raining one day and you're supposed to be having an outdoor picnic, they're going to work with your itinerary and fix that for you. So they're there to make sure you have a great trip. The campus tours, what's the GL Travel difference? I know all the tour operators do campus tours, but we really upped our game last year. We train our tour directors, do the tours. If the campus can't do a tour, we first go through admissions for a tour for your group. If they can't do it, we actually call the TRIO program at that college if they have one and say, hey, this other TRIO program's coming. A lot of times they'll provide someone to do a tour for your group. If that doesn't work, then we actually have our own tour directors that are trained and can do a tour on campus. As far as I know, we're the first tour operator to do that. It's very exciting. We're trying to avoid self-guided tours, which is the last resort. Sometimes if you're traveling over the holidays, we had a group going over Thanksgiving week, it was hard to find a campus tour, but that's expected on the holidays. Of course, customer service, you have a dedicated person assigned to you. They're always available if you have any questions to call, email, very quick to respond. And one cool thing about our company is we were founded by an educator that actually traveled with students. So he truly cares about all of our customers and that their trips go well. That's really important. And the customer trust, that's an account that we have. That's a financial security for you. So if you're to travel with us, none of your funds given to us are used for anything but your trip until your trip is finished. That means if something were to happen to you travel, your funds are protected, your trip is protected, it's going to go on as planned. Really important to make sure companies have that. With that, though, one last thing is safety first. We only work with student groups. We work with mostly SSS, Upward Bound, and Talent Search programs when it comes to TRIO. Those are three programs that travel with us the most. But we do put nighttime security at the hotel. Obviously, if you're an SSS program, it's optional because they are college level students. Trip name badges with a 24-hour emergency phone number on them. The professional tour directors, the hotels we use are safe. There are no balconies, things like that. We actually put nighttime security on the floor so that no students can get out and no one can get in. And our directors love that they can sleep at night and not have to worry. Of course, ABA, American Bus Association, approved motor coaches and health and accident insurance. So let's go to the fun stuff now. So what are the top destinations for TRIO programs? Let's start with what we talked about, Washington, D.C. Of course, the history there, the Smithsonian Museum's on the mall, the memorials and monuments, Arlington National Cemetery. We do wreath laying ceremonies for students. If you've never been there, you should Google what a wreath laying ceremony is at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. You get to pick 4 of your students, and they present a wreath at Arlington National Cemetery. We provide the wreath. Ford Theater, Peterson House, Mount Vernon, just so much to see. I listed some of our more popular campus tours on the right-hand side of each slide. So the picture there on the left-hand side, that's the Washington Monument, but that's during the cherry blossoms in Washington, D.C. On the right-hand side, you have the World War II Memorial. And then I did designate some of the college and universities. We get a lot of requests for HBCUs and now HSIs too. So I put those on here if that's something that you'd want. We definitely will work with your program, depending on however you want to set it up. Another really popular destination is New York City. So we actually partner with COE at their annual conference. So we were the company that took 2 buses of directors out on tour in New York during the conference. So their first tour was a day tour of New York City for new directors that never traveled with us. But then on the next night, we did a dinner and an observatory at one of the skyscrapers for all of our customers that travel with us. And we're going to do that again in Chicago. So if you're going to be in Chicago, remember us, get a hold of me, email me. We'll make sure you're on that tour if you want to go. It's going to be great. Chicago is one of our best destinations. But so New York, there's a skyline in the upper left-hand corner. We have the Times Square in the upper right-hand corner. And I'll let you read through some of the top attractions there, some of the colleges. You can see I designated Rutgers as an HSI destination. So really a cool destination. Heading more towards the west here, we have Denver and Colorado Springs. That's another really popular destination for TRIO programs. It's a little bit more outdoors, a little bit more adventurous. Actually, on the upper right corner, that's a group from New Mexico, a TRIO group that went to Denver and Colorado Springs last year. On the bottom right-hand corner, that's the Air Force Academy. You can do a tour of the Air Force Academy and that structure behind it. That's really cool looking structure. That's the Cadet Cathedral. And they get to go through the cathedral, which is amazing. In the upper left-hand corner, that's up in Colorado Springs, the Garden of the Gods. But you can see all the different activities below that the groups can do. Most of these destinations, if you wanted to have a fun day, most of them have theme parks. Village Gardens in Denver is a theme park for this destination. Some programs like to add a day and just have a fun day. You can do that. Of course, Los Angeles is always popular, especially if you do like the theme parks. You got, Disney, Universal, Knott's Berry Farm Mall right there. But a lot of great universities and colleges to visit there as well. And, the beach, the California Science Center. The picture in the upper right-hand corner that kind of looks like, Iron Man's house in the movie. That's actually the Griffith Observatory right there. So that's a lookout. You can go there in the evening, get the best view of the stars. It's very cool. San Antonio, it's a popular destination. Lots to do, a long list of attractions there. Of course, the river walk's really popular, but you can actually do a river cruise on a river walk. If you really want to get crazy, you can do they'll actually put tables and plates, and you can do a Hard Rock Cafe dinner on the river on the boat. So that's a really fun attraction. The Alamo, of course, Spanish Governor's Mansion. That picture in the upper left-hand corner, that's the Tower of the Americas. On the right-hand corner, that's the Alamo. So you can go tour through the Alamo, and a lot of great colleges and universities again. And we actually have done a couple HSI trips now to Texas. So that's becoming something more and more some of the trip programs are doing. San Francisco, another great destination. California has a lot to offer. We have Los Angeles, San Francisco. We don't have a slide for it, but we do a lot in San Diego as well. But San Francisco, I wanted to make sure this was on here. Just it's a little closer for the NAEOP region. Might be a little less, a little more affordable, less expensive. But a lot to do there. A list of all these great attractions and some outdoor stuff too. Muir Woods. Some that aren't so popular. Maybe you heard of the Winchester Mystery House, the Exploratorium. Um, there's actually a Netflix series right now, or there was maybe last year, about the Winchester Mystery House and the family. If you're like Netflix and you're interested in something new to watch, these are just a few of the colleges and universities, but there's a lot more to offer in the Bay Area. And like I said, if there's other colleges or universities you want to go to, we can be flexible and customize the itinerary the way you want it. Of course, we have the Fisherman's Wharf here. You can see the aquarium of the bay right there, and Golden Gate Bridge. I had a trio group this year do a tour. They were from Louisiana. They drove all the way up to Chicago, and they did Chicago for 2 days, but then they came down. They did 2 days in Nashville and 2 days in Louisville. And that's a great combination. Those two cities are only about 2.5 hours apart. And the trio group's up there in the upper right hand corner. That was at their line dancing lesson they did in Nashville, which they loved. So you learn how to do some line dancing, the Country Music Hall of Fame while you're in Nashville. The hit and a museum that they loved the best and gave the high score was the Museum of African American Music, because they give you a wristband and you can do some of your own recordings there and take it home, and a really cool museum. In Louisville, you got the Slugger Museum, you have Churchill Downs and the Kentucky Derby Museum, which you can see the picture in the upper left-hand corner. That's Churchill Downs. It's where they have the Kentucky Derby every year. You get to do a tour of the museum, but you get to go on the track as well and do a track tour. The Muhammad Ali Center is fantastic, multiple floors, a simulation boxing match with Muhammad Ali. So much fun, so much learning, and some great universities too on this tour. And you can see we put Mammoth Caves in there. It's kind of a nice midpoint between Louisville and Nashville. You can stop at on the way, the largest cave system in the country. And then one of our most popular, been popular for a long time, is the Civil Rights Tour. A really educational tour, a really well-priced tour too, low cost, kind of like Washington, D.C. Before I go into all of it, the most common route, especially from your region, would be to fly into Atlanta. You tour, do a day in Atlanta, but then you head to Tuskegee, over to Montgomery, and while you're in Montgomery, do a quick side trip to Selma, up to Birmingham, Alabama, and then back to Atlanta. So it's a little bit of a circle. And the way I kind of wrote the attractions follows that circle. So yeah, big circle, yes. So this is more of a 5-day tour minimum. So what I want to point out here, because the newest one is the National Memorial for Peace and Justice, the Legacy Sites in Montgomery. Fantastic museum, newer museum. If you've done a civil rights tour, you may not have done that. That's a half-a-day stop, but well worth it. So this is like I said, very educational tour. A lot of HBCUs, if that's what you're looking for. Of course, Morehouse and Spelman, they're right across the street. Spelman's all girls, Morehouse is all boys. So your girls would go to Spelman, your boys would go to Morehouse, get a guided tour each of those. They do Clark Atlanta, Tuskegee University, of course, and then Alabama State. And if you had any other requests, there's a lot more options too. The pictures, upper left-hand corner, that's the 16th Street Baptist Church. Really important, well, really sad event in the civil rights history. That's where a bombing took place. 4 girls that lost their lives in that church. The upper right-hand corner is the Edmund Pettus Bridge in Selma, so they'll get to walk across the bridge. It's a really great tour. And I didn't have time to go through all of our tours, but some other popular destinations is New Orleans, Chicago, as I mentioned, I put Portland on here because I know it's in the NAEOP region, and I did a trip for it's actually Montana Tech Trio program. I took them to Portland, and they had a blast. They did Portland, and they did Newport, which is right on the water. But they did a sea life discovery cruise on the ocean. They went to Multnomah Falls. They did all kinds of stuff. It's a really great tour. San Diego, Boston, Philadelphia, Orlando, and new and exciting. And we have our first trio group going, but we've written a few more proposals. Puerto Rico is becoming a really popular option. So if you never thought about it, you don't need a passport. It's a U.S. territory. It's definitely an option for trio groups. And with that, I just want to say thanks again to all of you for everything you do. You really do make an impact on all these students' lives. It's a really great program, and we appreciate you. All my contact information is right there. And then we do have a special offer just for having us on. We really appreciate it. So if any of you travel in 2025, what we're going to do is give a $300, it's called a Jaspi card. It's like a debit card that you can use while on tour for expenses, for snacks, for waters on the bus because it's hot in July. So anything like that that you need. And then last thing I want to do is in the chat. Let me see if I can get to the chat here. Right here. In the chat box, I'm going to put in a link. So if you're interested in more information, you can either call or email me, or you can fill out this form. Sure it works. There it is. And then that, if you fill out form, it'll give you us your information, and a tour consultant can set up a time to meet with you and tell you more about our services. You can ask questions. If there's other destinations you're interested, we customize everything. So we do more destinations, but these were just the most popular. And I think that's it. So I'll open it up. Does anyone have any questions for me or any ideas, thoughts? Awesome. Well, thanks. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Josh. And he's going to be sharing these slides as well. So we're kind of recording this and posting this out, but we'll be able to share out the slides as well if this is something you want to share with your team, and you want to maybe plan on bringing some students somewhere cool and doing some of these fun experiences. So again, you can either contact them directly, or just, I don't know, do whatever you need to do. These are amazing when you can make them happen and have some budget. And I know with SSS, you are coming up to like the end of year 5, and there might be some spend down, and this would be an amazing way to do that. I know back in my upper bound days, year 5s are the best because that's when your summer academy, you just got to do all kinds of crazy stuff, spending every last penny. So yeah, thank you again, Josh. All right, so Josh is going to log off here, and then we're going to transition over to the CIEE. And initially, I had somebody who was able to like report out on some of these things, but he was unable to show up. So as somebody who's had some experience with CIEE, I would just thought I would at least take a moment to show some folks, if you're unfamiliar with them, some of the resources that are available. So can you guys maybe just, even in the chat, let me know if you're more on the SSS side or pre-college, just so I can make sure I'm catering kind of what I'm showing you to the students you're working with. Okay, that was definitely from the names I recognize. I was like, I'm pretty sure we have a lot of college-based programs here. So, but there is a UB out there. So CIEE, this is more an international travel company, and I know for the most part, going international can be quite a stretch for programs in terms of getting it approved, but it is an allowable cost. There was a clarification Department of Ed had sent out a couple years ago that said it's not unallowable to do an abroad trip. You just need to be able to get prior approval. And a lot of the resources that I'll show you through CIEE are more often for like the individual students, though are some opportunities for programs themselves. So CIEE.org is like the broad overarching organization. They are this huge multinational corporation that they're a nonprofit, but they just do international education programming. So on the college side of things, you will see that There's both college study abroad as well as like internships abroad. And these are, particularly if you're at a community college or a school that doesn't have any kind of study abroad program, they offer like third party study abroad options. And there's tons of flexibility in it. Like it can be entire semesters, it can just be a few weeks, it can be during breaks, it can be truly like just summers. It is incredibly flexible in terms of what kind of opportunities are available. And they do have kind of their own scholarships in addition to working with financial aid offices for students who are trying to make this an affordable opportunity to go abroad. So again, I've had the chance to work with CIEE on the high school side. So on the high school front, they have these summer abroad programs. So you can send your pre-college students all over the place, and they have a global navigator. Let's say I'm trying to GL. I think it's Global Leader Navigator Scholarship. They basically have $6 million. There it is, the Global Navigator applications. They have $6 million a year that goes to like low income students who are currently in high school that they would love to go and do abroad trips and get those experiences. So what we've been doing in Oregon, at least, is trying to encourage a lot of our pre-college students to apply for these opportunities because oftentimes students can get the full cost of the program paid for, and they just have to fundraise for like the flight to go and actually do the program. In terms of like where locations are, it is all over the world, right? There are like language programs, there are like service programs. They're anywhere from 3 to 4 weeks. But that students have plenty of opportunities to get these summer opportunities. A lot of the college programs are going to be based in these similar locations. The only difference is they're like enrolled in an actual university or in the program center there and are earning college credits for the work that they are doing. I did want to draw some attention to this program leaders piece too. This is where my experience has actually come into play as I got to be a program leader. It's basically you're a chaperone on these trips. So if you are somebody, particularly if you're like talent search or you have some summers time off that you can take in June and July, you can have opportunities to go all over the world. This Dublin program, advocating for social justice. I was a program leader for that program. I don't know if I'm gonna get to it fast enough, but I got to go to Cape Town, South Africa as well and do like a program leader. So they are looking for hundreds of people just like Trio professionals who are good with students, who understand how to navigate trips and do all the field trip stuff that we often do with our students. So there's opportunities for even you as the professionals to do the program. Um, I'm still looking on here. I'm shouting out Haley, who's in the chat on here. Haley works for a trio program in Oregon now, but we actually met in Dublin. We were both program leaders together. It's CIEE does a really good job putting together awesome programming for students. And then on the staffing side, they've been a really awesome organization to work for. And then the last thing I wanted to touch on here, similar to what we just saw with the GL travel, they tend to focus on in-state, like US trips, traveling, looking at universities, doing some of those fun aspects. But CIEE also has custom programs. So all of those places in which they have centers located all around the world, you can basically build custom programs with your college students or with your high school students to maybe bring a small group and do an international trip. So it's an amazing opportunity to potentially, like I said, if you have some of that spend down or you're one of these pre-college programs that are trying to carry over too much, if you can get your program officer to approve doing an international trip, this can be an amazing opportunity. And the beauty is as the trio program, you just kind of pick off of a menu where you want to go, the kind of programming you want to do, and they take care of everything. They take care of the flights, they take care of the housing, the food, the instruction. Like it very much is like a red carpet opportunity for you. So, um, does anybody have any? I've only covered like a brief amount here. I don't have the formal slides because our CIEE rep wasn't able to come. But does anybody have any questions around any of their kind of programs or programming? Hey, well, I super appreciate a bunch of you showing up. There was a brief moment there where it was like me and Josh and like two other people. So I did a desperate attempt to get more folks to show up. So I greatly appreciate all of you popping in here, making us look decent. Again, this is recorded. We can share it out, but hopefully, if this has been on like your to-do list, then you would love to do one of these amazing trips with your students and preferably maybe outside of the state that you're located in. That GL travel can be a great opportunity for that. And in a dream world, maybe even go internationally. So if any of you need any more information or you want some contacts within these organizations, just reach out to the NAEOP folks or myself and let us know. We can get you connected. So with that, I have nothing else. So I'm going to go ahead and just stop our recording here. And if somebody has questions they just don't want to do on the recorded call, you can just stick around and ask me. And again, I'm in a hotel lobby, so apologies for the shaky screen and the weird lighting. So thank you all for being here.